All right, I am at the Sheen Center on behalf of WFUV, joined here with Lonnie Ali. How are you doing today?
I'm great, Will. I'm even better now that I'm sitting here with you.
That's flattering. Thank you. So we're just going to get right into it.
Okay.
You were 6 years old when you first met Muhammad. He moved in right across the street from you. A lot of people don't know. What was that experience like, and do you have any memories that you could take from that?
You know, Will, I remember that like it was yesterday. Honest to God. I can close my eyes and I'm right back there. His parents were living there. He had purchased them a house in the suburbs. He was actually visiting and training down in Miami for the first Sonny Liston fight. He had come home to see his mom. So that's how I was able to meet him. But I was 6 years old and very, very scared and shy and, in awe.
You're an advocate for children's rights and Parkinson's disease. Did you have any experiences with anybody other than your late husband that, was suffering from this disease? Anything that touched you?
There was a gentleman that I remember. I used to work summers before I went to college and while I was in college and even after when I come home from the summers at Kmart. I don't know if people remember Kmart, but I used to be a cashier at Kmart. And there was a gentleman there who had a tremor. Now, whether or not he had Parkinson's disease, I don't know. It might have been an essential tremor. But aside from him, Muhammad was the first person that I ever met with Parkinson's disease.
Wow. And how has that, experience shaped you in your life, dealing with, your loved one who unfortunately had that disease?
Well, my father had polio. So I grew up, it affected him physically where he walked with a limp. He was always able to do everything. He still walked with a limp, it's not like he could run anywhere. But so I sort of grew up with someone that I looked up to and admired that had sort of a physical challenge, right? So when Muhammad was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, I looked at it, because I'd lived with Dad, as just something that had to be managed. And we sort of grew up, Muhammad and I, with, Parkinson's research because they know a whole lot more now than they did then. And all I knew is that I was in this journey with him, and we were going to live life to its fullest and give him every ounce of quality of life that we could squeeze out of it. And Muhammad had that same attitude. Muhammad never woke up thinking whiny or depressed because of his illness. He was always energetic and wanting to go out and meet people until probably the final year and a half of his life where he was really just too ill to do that.
Muhammad fought both inside and outside of the ring for those people that stood behind him, and what made him so unique is that he was a champion for civil rights. What was his reaction towards the first U.S. president who was African American in Barack Obama? How did you feel about that?
He was so proud, so proud. Muhammad actually met Barack when he was a senator. Well, actually before he was a senator, when he was a community organizer. He went to an event, because we lived in Michigan, southwestern Michigan. We had a farm, we called a farm. We really didn't raise anything, but in Berrien Springs, which is southwestern Michigan, was like 30 miles from Notre Dame, South Bend, Indiana. So right across the Lake Michigan, was Chicago. So Muhammad was invited to an event. And actually, I was not with him, but he met Barack and Michelle then. And then, of course, Barack ran for U.S. Senator, and he won. And I think Muhammad saw him a couple more times after that. And there was a young woman who grew up with Muhammad's two youngest children that came back from LSE, the London School of Economics, had gone to school in Washington at Howard, undergrad in law school, and then went off to LSE. And we said, you know what, you need to go work for Barack. And so we wrote her a letter of recommendation. So she ended up working for Barack when he was a state senator, followed him out on the campaign trail. And so, we were following like daily reports of what was going on with him. And who would ever think that some young guy black guy from Chicago, which Muhammad had some roots in, because Muhammad lived there for a while, was going to run for president and really had a shot at it. But after he delivered I think he delivered the keynote address at the Democratic Convention 4 years before, we knew that this man had something going on, right?
Very special.
Very special guy. And Muhammad was just so proud of him because he really thought we had arrived to a place in America where all people were accepted, irregardless of the color of their skin, irregardless of their background, or that they weren't born with a silver spoon in their mouth. That if you worked hard, you could achieve. And Barack was just amazing. If I was a newbie on this earth, I would say that Barack invented cool, because he was one of the coolest presidents ever, right? And Muhammad, if you asked him, and Muhammad really wasn't a political animal. He really wasn't. He just loved people, so he didn't like things that were divisive.
Right.
And politics could get very divisive.
True.
But you asked him in a second, who are you voting for president? Barack. Clear as a bell. Barack, Barack, Barack. That's all he did.
Amazing.
He was just, it was just wonderful for him to be able to witness that, to still be here and witness that. And he went to the Democratic Convention when Barack was nominated to be the candidate, and to the inauguration as well.
So you speak of him being able to, with Barack Obama and see him become president. He was also able to attend the Ali Institute. So what exactly did that mean for him, being able to take a step back from his life and just see his legacy that he's left on the world?
The Ali Center, which it's a museum and a center, educational center as well. So there's a museum component. So it was important, for Muhammad, because he had done so much, he had touched so many people, to leave that legacy, to leave that footprint. And it was important that it be done while he was here. A lot of times people do things after people are gone from this earth. Presidential libraries are, that happens right after they get out of office, within a few years they start building. But we felt this should be the same thing. It should be something that was about Muhammad's legacy, but something that he could leave his handprint on. That people could come in and see him and be a part and visit with him and experience him. So Muhammad was one of those people, he believed when he saw it. And when he saw that the doors open, we had that big opening, he was amazed. He loved being there, because it was all about him. Of course he loved it, he just loved it. And it is carrying on his work and his legacy and passing that torch on to the millennials of the world who are doing fabulous things out here.
So obviously 2012 London Olympics, Ali was able to get out there and, light that torch. He was a young boxer himself in the Olympics, competed. What did that mean for him and yourself, being able to just see that?
You know what? I don't think Muhammad realized until it was all over what had happened, how big it was, and how many people had their eyes on him all over the world, and so surprised because he heard that audible gasp in the stadium, and there was an audible gasp because people were like amazed it was him. They did not expect it. And Bob Costas talks about it the best. And to see him light that cauldron when people didn't think he would be able to, because he did have, there's nothing we could have done to stop that tremor. He had that tremor because, he was nervous.
Yeah.
And when Janet Evans handed it off to him, and she was shocked too, because she didn't know what was going on. And there was a glitch. It wasn't Muhammad, there was a glitch with the lighting mechanism, and it wouldn't light. And he kept trying to light it, and like, oh my God. And I was in the production booth, I thought, what is going on? Finally, it caught fire. And it lit, it traveled up that wire and lit the cauldron. And it was amazing. People were so moved by it. Because there he was, who was somebody who had been the epitome of physicality and strength and endurance and ability. And, now he had this physical illness that had caused this tremor. And he was letting the world see that,
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Well,
Lonnie, for
thank
your
you,
time.
Will.